All right, folks, it's 8 in the morning at the time of filming this, East Coast time, and we have some major breaking news. Donald Trump just announced in a live Fox News interview that the suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting has been arrested. They've been taken in by federal authorities. Now, before we even dive into this clip, I will say that the only person at the time of filming this who has confirmed this story is Donald Trump. We haven't heard from other news agencies. We haven't heard from federal government agencies saying that this is the case. So when it's only coming from Donald Trump, I will say take it with a grain of salt, especially because the FBI brought in two suspects who inevitably turned out to not be the person in question. But now that we got that out of the way, I want to show you this clip of Donald Trump announcing the arrest of this person. And then later, this interview continued, and it actually just got even crazier from this moment on. So let's take a look at this clip, and we'll talk about it after.
Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But
So there you have it. He says that the person has been taken into custody, and then he ranted a little bit after the fact. But the main piece of information in that ramble is that a person has been taken into custody, which, again, I want to preface, take with a grain of salt, but I hope is true. And I imagine that it's true. Imagine we'll get further confirmation in the coming hours, probably even a press conference. And hopefully there can be some justice here. The temperature in the country is very high, and hopefully some justice, an arrest will bring that temperature down a little bit. But Donald Trump did a pretty poor job of bringing the temperature down in this interview. And just the past couple of days, we saw his statement from the Oval Office before anybody was even caught, blaming the radical left. And in this interview, he kind of just continued to go down that path of just being very divisive. And here's another clip I want to show you of him announcing now in the Fox News interview, making news again for the first time ever, that he's sending the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee. There's the next location that Donald Trump is sending the military after the American people. And this is just moments after he announced that the suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting has been taken into custody. You know, one lawless action to another. I mean, he's just all over the place. Take a look.
Out. What's going to happen?
So I think maybe I'll be the first to say it right now again. We're going to Memphis. Memphis is
That's the next city.
Deeply troubled. And the mayor is happy. He's a Democrat mayor. The mayor is happy. And the governor, Tennessee, the governor is happy. Deeply troubled. We're going to fix that just like we did Washington. I would have preferred going to Chicago. I had a man in the head of a big railroad. They're doing a merger, and he wanted to come see me and all that stuff. And I asked him, because, you know, it's one of the largest train companies, maybe the largest, so you can figure out who it is. Okay, Union Pacific. And he was in my office, and he started off 45 years ago with the railroad. It's such a great story. Sir, I'm a railroader. That's the kind of guy that should ride it, you know, as opposed to a Wall Street guy that destroys the railroad, but he's good financially, right? And he was a very impressive guy. And I said, so what do you think? Where should we go next as a city? Because we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we'll do a few at a time. But we're going to straighten out the crime in these cities. He said, sir, Memphis would be good because he's on the board of FedEx. He said, when I walk 1 block to my hotel, they won't allow me to do it. They put me in an armored vehicle with bulletproof glass to take me 1 block. He said, it's so terrible. I said, let me ask you a question. So we're going to Memphis. I'm just announcing that now, and we'll straighten that out. The National Guard and anybody else we need. And by the way, we'll bring in the military, too, if we need it. But
Yeah, wow, we'll bring in the military, too, if we need it. I just want to point out that in this clip, there's so much makeup of Donald Trump's face. You can see it on his lips. I guess, you know, I don't know who's doing their makeup over there at Fox News. They probably should find a new job, or whoever's doing it at the White House, maybe, whoever made that thing happen. But yeah, announcing that the National Guard is now going into Memphis, Tennessee, saying we'll bring in the military if we need to, meaning in addition to the National Guard. This, federal crackdown from Trump is continuing. And it's just so crazy that he just jumps from a tragedy in America, a shooting in America, to the National Guard being deployed in Memphis. It's just like this guy's just all over the place. And even in that short clip we just watched, it was rambling incoherence from Trump telling a story about this fictional character that he probably made up, saying you need to go into Memphis. Maybe he had a dream. Maybe he had a dream and that person came to him when he was sleeping. I want to move on, though, to another clip where he kind of is just floating due process. I imagine this is in connection, this is in his mind because of Charlie Kirk and the shooting. But take a look at what he said here, because it seems like he wants to model our judicial system after China, which I don't think anybody really thinks is a great idea. Just take a look.
He did to her was unbelievable. And then he walks through, the knife is dripping blood and everything else. One thing I say, we have to have quick trials.
Yeah.
I call it quick trial because in China, they do have quick trials. They don't wait 6 years and
you
claim
start
all
off guilty
sorts
and
of
you end up
reason.
guilty in China.
Oh, it's terrible. What happens here is you go through 7, 8 years, and by the time it ends, and then they say, well, he had a reason to do it because he wasn't treated right in grade school, and it's his teacher's fault, and it's the government's fault. That guy they should have a trial the following day, as far as.
But do you know that they say?
I mean, when you have somebody on tape, here's a guy on tape getting ready to, and then he did his thing. The whole thing is on tape. This should not be going on. This trial will go on. It'll start in 2, 3, 4 years. We have to have, in certain places that do it differently, they have what's called quick trial.
So he's referencing the awful stabbing we saw in North Carolina recently of the Ukrainian refugee, along with the conversation on Charlie Kirk. When the president of the United States is saying that we should model our judicial system after China and have a trial the next day, that is deeply concerning, because even the man behind that stabbing, even the individual behind the shooting of Charlie Kirk should get a fair trial. I mean, that's the whole point of the judicial system we have in the United States, due process, right? It's kind of like a fundamental thing here in America, that even if a crime is caught on video, and we all agree that these individuals behind these crimes should go to jail and sit there for the rest of their lives, they still have a right to an attorney, a trial, and things like that. And Donald Trump just seems to be willing to float these things in the name of what? In the name of being able to say we did it, in the name of being able to say we just got it done. I don't know, pretty scary to me. Now, while we were watching that clip, I do want to provide you an update just briefly that NBC News is also now reporting that the suspect in the Kirk shooting has been arrested. A family member saw the photos of the suspect and turned him into police, two senior law enforcement officials say. So it's not just Donald Trump's word now. It is NBC News and other outlets are reporting on it as well. So we have more confirmation. So the final clip I do want to show you here from Donald Trump in this interview is another concerning one. It's, the Fox host asked, what about radicals on the Republican side? And he said, I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I could care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radicals because they don't want to see crime. He's just completely brushing off right-wing extremism. Take a look.
Radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Although they want men and women sports, they want transgender for everyone, they want...
All right, let's just cut him off before he goes on his rant. This is insane. How about extremism on either side is bad? How about that there's extremism on both sides? It's both bad. And extremism, whether it be in the form of right-wing violence or left-wing violence, is bad. Why can't the president of the United States bring himself to say it? Trump has been given opportunity after opportunity to be a leader, to bring the temperature down in the country. 100% of the time, he rejects the opportunity and goes into political attacks. He even said it himself. It's going to get him in trouble. Couldn't care less. He knows what he's saying is divisive, and he says it anyway. And it's just absurd. Any rational person who actually cares about America has the position of extremism is bad, period. No but. No, well, but this side is because of this. No but. No, it's just bad across the board. But our leader, unfortunately, cannot bring himself to say this. So anyway, the main story here is that there is a suspect in shooting. I just had to show you the rest of these clips from this interview. It's so insane. But thankfully, somebody's in custody. I'll keep you updated on any major updates. I'll leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world. Make sure to subscribe down below. Drop a like on the video. Comment. Let me know what you think about this story. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.